Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy Mr. On My Lewis back at you with another video, and today we're going to be talking about pickiness and how you should be picky but only under having first-hand data. Alright, so if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit the notification icon, and make sure you hit the like button if you actually like this video by the end of it. So let's go ahead and get started. So how do you actually become picky? So I'm actually surrounded by picky people, and that's perfectly fine. I have nothing against being picky and really trying to get everything perfect, as far as what your passion and what your talent and skill is. But what I have a problem with is when you start to get picky, but you don't actually have any sort of expertise, or you don't have any experience in whatever it is that you're trying to be picky at. So here's the thing, for the most part, picky people tend to be picky in every single aspect of their lives, right? Who knows? Maybe you as an introvert, you've probably noticed this more often than not. And it's just annoying. It's just annoying, right? Especially when somebody tries to get picky in an area where you know more than the person who's actually trying to judge you and give you feedback, because here's the thing, you just cannot possibly be picky if you've never done what you're trying to be picky at, if you don't understand the full context. So this is why I said at the beginning of the video that you cannot be picky if you don't have any first-hand data. So what that means is that if you've never done it yourself, why are you being picky? Why are you trying to control and perfect something that you've never done before? That's just why. I actually made a video that I spoke about how frequency matters more than perfection when you're just starting off. So if you're an individual who has no idea about the specific topic, or whatever craft that's being done, or the creative behind something, if you have no experience behind that, you have no authority and no right to be picky at that point, because you haven't experienced it yourself. You see, pickiness should come from somebody who's already done it, somebody who's done it many, many times, and they can realize, the aspects, they can see the full picture of what's going on, they can see, what's ahead of time. So let's just say, for example, who knows, maybe somebody who's creating music, right? Who knows, maybe the creator of the song might not be as perfect as the producer. The producer might be hearing the song, he might be like, hey, you know what, I need you to change the chorus here, I need you to change that verse, I need you to replace this line with this line. And who knows, maybe you as the musician here, you're like, well, I think it sounds good, but the producer, he knows what he's talking about. The producer, let's just say you as a musician, you just started off, maybe perhaps you have 1 year of experience, while as the producer has 10 years of experience, right? So he's worked with many artists. So when he hears you, he's able to actually go in there and tell you, hey, you know what, change this, change that. I would probably put more energy into that verse, because that verse felt a little bit weak, and stuff like that. And you might be wondering, well, to me it sounds good, but who knows, the producer might actually see something that you don't, and that's because they've picked up first-hand data and you haven't. So the first-hand data means that they've actually worked with artists, and who knows, in the past, if they're being picky with that, it means that in the past they've came across somebody who also did the same thing that you're doing right now, and he probably let that slide at that time, the first time that it happened, let's just say. And what happened is that, who knows, maybe this song went out, and then people were, commenting on that one specific part of the song, and they were like, man, this song would have been a hit, it would have gone everywhere, but because that little part right there with the verse, it didn't sound that good, it just, turned a lot of people off, and made people click off the video, make people click off the song, and that song never really got shared, because, people got a really bad taste from that song, because it had that one, that one thing that that producer let it slide, thinking that it wouldn't matter. And now, you saw the consequences of letting that one thing. So now he's actually processed that and been like, all right, you know what? I'm not going to let that happen anymore. I'm going to have to make sure that every artist that I have here, that I'm producing, that I'm helping them, put the song together. I have to make sure that they actually do, the best possible work ever, because if not, I know what's going to happen. So like I said, they start to look into the future, so they start to see the potential, what's going to happen if I let this slide off here, as the picky individual here. And at the same time, that's firsthand data. That means that he experienced that for himself. He saw the results of what would happen if he's not picky. So here's the thing, like picky people, when it comes to pickiness, if you as an introvert, you're thinking about being picky, make sure that it's always based on firsthand data. Make sure that you're picky for a very good reason. Don't be picky just to annoy people. Don't be picky just to get your way, because that's really for the most part what happens. When people get picky, it's usually because they're being very egoistic. They're being very self-centered. They're being very like they want to get their own way. They want to get their own vision out. But the thing is that they have no experience. So as a picky person who has no experience, you look like a fool. Really, you look like a fool. And believe me, if the person who's being picky with no experience comes across an introvert, believe me, that introvert is making fun of you, in his head. Yeah, oh yeah, man. He's like, yo, man, you are in some drugs, man. You are flying and you're in another planet, because we know this for a fact. Perhaps we're not able to contextualize it, as opposed to right now you're watching this video, you might be like, yeah, you know what, you're right, like this is what's going on. But yeah, if you really think about it, that's really what's going on. Like, you can't, it's just funny, like how people who are inexperienced, my bad, are out there, trying to be picky in areas where they just don't have any expertise. Now, like I said, it's okay to be picky once you do have experience, once you have that first-hand data, once you've done it yourself. Now, sure, in that case, you actually have to be picky. So make sure that if you're an introvert, you're watching this, and you have some sort of expertise in some area, and you know that you're better than the people around you in that specific area, then it is your duty for you to be picky when it comes to if they're trying to do the same thing that you're doing. Make sure you're very picky, and that you actually guide them in that pickiness, guide them with your pickiness, really, and guide them in a way where they're going to be able to do work that's actually quality work, as opposed to letting them go and do whatever it is that they want to do, and then give you very poor results. So yes, pickiness is good, but it has to be done under the right circumstances. So like I said, this is really what that is. And as an introvert, like I said, you might experience this on a day-to-day basis. You might have people around you who are picky, but they have like no experience whatsoever and stuff like that, and so they sound very just they just sound annoying. And to some degree, they might even sound comical at times. Alright, so I'm very sorry about that. As you can see, I'm wearing a whole new outfit, and now I did not go and change and then come back and continue filming this video. I actually had to cut it yesterday because I had to take care of some things here in the office, but I'm back. So let's go ahead and finish up the video here. So like I was saying, once some picky people, they start to try to guide you and stuff like that, right? But they have like no experience, then they start to sound like fools and stuff, and it's just like annoying, like I was saying, right? It's fucking hilarious. It's like they're doing stand-up comedy or something, they're like, yeah, there's that, it's like like they're trying to do stand-up comedy, but they're not good, like at all, so there's like no laughter coming out of their jokes and stuff, and that's just sad, but yeah, I mean, you gotta come to the realization that you just can't be picky that way. And like I said, this is more of a problem with extroverts than it is with introverts, because extroverts, they tend to just talk, and they're not very introspective. They don't really consider what they're about to say before they say it. They just sort of say it, and then they calibrate, and then they expect the other person to sort of push them in the right direction, after they've already spoken. But here's the thing, like, that's not going to work out with introverts. Once you come across an introvert, as an extrovert, if you're doing this shit, what's going to happen is that the introvert is going to just let you do your thing, and we're just gonna probably either we're already planning our plan here to evacuate and leave your company if this is like a boss, trying to guide you and trying to be picky with you. Probably that's what's going on, or there's some sort of underlying plan already, in the works. Guaranteed. If you're an introvert, guaranteed there's already a plan going on underwards, and it's just a matter of a time before that plan gets executed and that introvert departs, right? You may be the introvert, and you may be ready to depart. And if you're the extrovert watching this video, then you better be careful, because that introvert employee, or whatever it is, this may also happen in relationships. Maybe you get a little picky with your partner, and then you're trying to guide your partner to be a certain way, but you yourself have never been that way, or you are not that way. And like that in of itself is very hypocritical. That makes for very hypocritical people, if you really think about it, because how can you be picky? How can you demand and really ask so much from someone when you yourself aren't willing to do that? Like, that's just very hypocritical. So yeah, so that's another thing to consider, you extroverts. Like, when you guys are doing the shit that you're doing, being picky and stuff like that, make sure that you can back up your pickiness. All right, make sure that you're qualified to be picky. And like I said, the best way to really do that is to have first-hand data, is to have been able to have experienced that for yourself. And there's a very, very good plausible reason to be picky. It's not just for you to satisfy your ego, like I said, or to feel better about yourself, or to feel like you're in control, you're the one in charge and stuff like that. This isn't about that. All right? This is about actually getting some work done. This is about you helping the other individual be better. But be better, but for the way that they are. You're not trying to transform them into something that you would like. You're trying to get them to tap into their full potential. Damn, yo, it's like they don't want me to make videos and stuff, man. Keep getting interrupted. But anyway, so let's go ahead and conclude the video finally. And let me just say, as an introvert, how do you deal with people who are picky but they have like no experience? Best thing to do is, first of all, find a way to eject. Try to find a way to leave the situation. If this is a work environment here and you're the employee, you might want to consider start looking for a new job, because if your boss is very persistent in the way that he's being very picky, but not in the areas where he's supposed to be only, then you just have to eject. I mean, now of course, the second option is to really stand up to him and really tell him what the heck is going on, or you can show him this video, of course, for God's sake, but of course, that takes a little bit more strength. So if you really want to take that approach, I would highly recommend that you watch more of my videos here on my channel. That way you have the strength to do it. Not that I'm saying that you're not capable of doing it, but as an introvert, like I said, you're just not naturally he's not naturally born with the intention to want to speak up and to want to say what you feel and stuff like that. That's just not something that introverts are naturally born with. So, as an introvert, you may be listening to this video, you may have the will to do it, you may have the passion to do it, but when the time comes, it's very, very difficult to really let that out and put it out. Especially because introverts tend to collect a lot of emotions within, because like I said, we don't express them as much. This is an advantage that extroverts have, that they're able to talk so much that they're able to actually express their emotions right on the spot, so they don't have to hold in anything, as opposed to an introvert who can't communicate very properly. So they may be feeling some certain emotions under certain circumstances, but because they're not very well calibrated, they're not well equipped to communicate and speak up, then in that case, that creates a lot of emotions just kept in and stuff. So that makes it a little bit harder, but it doesn't mean it's impossible. I mean, look at me. I was that way at some point, and then I moved up and I was able to educate myself, and of course, now I am where I am. And believe me, I still struggle with this at times. Not every situation is the same. Sometimes it is pretty difficult for me to actually speak up and be a little bit more out there, but little by little, you just sort of start working at it, and eventually you get really better and better. But anyway, that's that. And so yeah, I mean, pretty much either you eject or you let them know what's going on, and that way they're able to change their ways, hopefully. But if they don't, even after you told them and you expressed the way you're feeling towards that, then you just got to eject. at some point. You just got to eject, because like I said, most of these extroverted people are very stubborn and they're very egoistic. Like I said, that in of itself, that's a very egoistic characteristic. So for you to be able to go in there and change that, that's extremely difficult, because that is attached to their ego. And for them to drop that, they would have to drop their ego, and dropping somebody's ego is extremely hard. It's not just something that you can just turn on and off. It's not a switch. So yeah, that's why I'm saying, it might be a better idea to just eject right from the start, because it's not something that you can fix. Even if you do happen to speak up, it's still going to take a little bit of time. It's going to take them a little bit of practice in order for them to get that internalized and everything. So, and who knows, and that's even if they have the will to do it, and that's if they're truly invested in you to such a degree where they're willing to do such a thing for you. And let's just say, if you're in a work environment, probably your boss will not be open to that, because they are the boss. You're the employee. It's just the way that society is sort of placed. And so who knows, that's really up to you. If it's a relationship, then I would highly encourage you to, in that case, actually go and talk to the person first before you eject, because work environment is like, whatever, it's just a place that you go and you make money. Really, at the end of the day, that's really what it is. You go, you work, you make your money, you're able to pay your bills, and you're able to, keep yourself alive, and that's that. And then, but when you're in a relationship, that's a little bit more intimate, that's a little bit more personal. So in that case, I wouldn't highly suggest that you go in there, you just like end it, Believe me, I've been there, and it's not really the best option, because it leaves a lot of you still don't get to express what you feel, and the other person never really knew. And I think it's very unfair for the other person, because you never really let them know like what happened. You just sort of go over there, you tell them like we're done and stuff like that, like out of the blue and stuff, and they have like no idea, no clue as to like why, what caused it. So in that case, since it's more personal, and it involves somebody that potentially you love and that potentially loves you, as opposed to the work environment here. In that case, you may want to actually, talk it out and be like, hey, like, you gotta stop being picky and these things, just let me be who the fuck I am, and let me do my mistakes, and let me do what I want to do, let me be who I want to be, and stuff like that. And if you don't like it, then go, but definitely you want to let them know, what's going on and stuff like that. And this would apply for any sort of relationship, not just like a romantic one, but maybe the relationship with your friends, with your family, stuff like that. People that you really care about. It's actually a good idea to go in there and really talk to them. But like I said, work environment is just an exchange of money. Really, you go and you do something, they pay you for it, done deal. It's not really a big deal. Now, if this is a business and you're a business owner and you're trying to you're trying to communicate this maybe perhaps to a customer or something like that, then in that case, you might want to actually talk to them, because, you have a business. It's now about your business, it's not just a job position. But anyway, that is it for today's video. That is pickiness. Make sure you're just picky based on first-hand data, and make sure that if you're the one who's on the giving end and you're the one who's being picky, make sure that you're only picky when the situation calls for it, when it's actually necessary, when you're actually going to push the other person to improve, to be better, and you actually have the experience and you have the knowledge and you know exactly why they need to improve, So make sure you know that. If you're on the receiving end, make sure that you really either you eject or you let them know what's going on in order for that situation to improve or to completely end. All right, so that is it for today's video. Sorry for all the cuts in this video. It's just crazy to record here in the office, but we gotta do what we gotta do. You know how it is, So thank you very much. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification icon, and make sure you click on one of these two videos here so you guys can see more of my content. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video.